Hello, everybody. How you doing? Another Tundra Talk coming at you as we inch even closer now to Great Lakes testing round one at Wisconsin International Raceway for the Tundra Super Late Model Series. And we're going to be talking to the guy who won the final two races of the 2021 season. Man, this guy is on fire. The car behind matches with that paint scheme, that hot orange. Gets out of the way so you can take a look at it. Jordan DeVoy, let's talk about the end of your 2021 season with the Tundra Super Late models. We knew you would be good at Golden Sands because you'd shown it there before. Dells is always kind of a wild card because we don't really ever know what to expect out of anybody there, but you dominated that race. What did you guys do to have your program so on point at the end of the season last year?
That's a good question. So we thought we fired off pretty strong at the beginning of the year. We got into a mishap at Jefferson and broke the left rear trailing arm bracket, and we ended up with some front stub damage, and Pathfinder helped supply me the right parts. We cut the whole everything ahead of the upper control arms off and re-welded everything on we needed to, and when we got all the geometry squared up where we needed it, I think we came back even faster than we've been. So that led us into some pretty good races at Golden Sands and Dells, and we had a few good runs at Alive for 5. And yeah, second half of the year was something good, and hope to continue on this year.
It's a weird thing. I've heard this before, and maybe you can speak to it. Some guys say when you bend your race car up, it actually gets faster. Is there anything to that, or is that just funny talk?
I think that was a good Mid-Am thing. When you bent the right front frame horn up, you got more travel in the car. But I don't know about with a late model. I hope that when you got something good, you just keep running it, because if you got to put a new stub on or buy a new car, then you don't know what to do with it. So there's a chance.
Yeah, and fixing it's no fun either. Let's talk about that race at Golden Sands. You won the Harvest the year previous. So like I said, we knew that you would definitely be a threat to be that race, but that's a very far racetrack for you. It's not like you have a ton of laps. It's 3 hours for you to get there from the Lake Geneva area. What is it about that place that just has been so good for you, that made you so strong, especially, last year when we raced there on Labor Day?
Yeah, so I started a lot of my career off at Slinger Speedway, and I absolutely love high bank tracks, and I think it's even cooler that it's a low grip track. So you go sliding in on entry, or you're almost always loose on entry, and you try to drive out with as much bite and drive as you can. I think a lot of the races at Slinger and running limited late models on 8-inch tires really prepares you for something with low grip. It's probably one of my more favorite tracks. Slinger's up there too.
Yeah, and to that point, you talk about low grip tracks, and the other track that you raced at this year would have been the Dells. You had the issues at Marshfield, which is another low grip track. Coming from, you never got to race at Lake Geneva, but I know that a lot of your family history ties back to there. That was another place that I think was kind of a low grip place. And your dad, with all the years with Randy Rogers, right, working on his cars. Is it something that you sort of set yourself up for even before you began your racing career?
Yeah, I think it would have been pretty cool to be able to race Lake Geneva. I missed it by a few years, but yeah, I think it was like 1998 up to pretty much 2006 when they closed. I was there every single Saturday night, and I definitely didn't like to miss a weekend. I think Lake Geneva kind of has a lot of, I feel like what the Dells has in you kind of get this sweeping exit on 4, and definitely 2 groove racetracks. And yeah, it's a shame we built apartments or condos out of it.
Yeah, I know. I used to live right across the street, and there's like a church on part of it. So you feel like, okay, a church, but then you look at all those other houses and you just wipe them down. There's nobody in them yet anyway. No big deal. Like, let's put the racetrack back here. There's still some fence left, but it's a very sad thing, because when I lived across the street there, I thought to myself, man, if the racetrack was still here, we have like 4 Tundra races here a year, which I think you'd be fine with that.
Without a doubt, we keep joking. We're a group who enjoys some Leo's Upper Dells pizza and drinks, and if we could do something 5 minutes down the road between the racetrack and home, it'd be nice. But we like to stop off at Leo's at midnight after a Dells race and stay till 2:30 and drive home, and everybody's mad in the morning. We stayed till 2:30 and closed the bar down.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into where I think that came from for you, and I think you know where I'm going to go with that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on, because that ties into some of the people that you've worked with in the past who have definitely not shied away from going out and having a good time after the races, but you know, race hard, work hard, and have a good time. I want to talk to you a little more about the Dells, because I thought for you, and please don't take this the wrong way, but that was a very surprising performance, because I had seen you race there a few times. I know you were good when you raced there in the late model, having you won the fall race there, correct? The showdown a couple of years ago.
Yep.
So we knew you could do it, but the super late model success had been sort of slim when you go and you race there with the Alive for 5, or in the races that you had with us there prior. Something just went incredibly right that day in the Carl Wagner 105. What was it that just put you guys in such a position to be so dominant in that race?
Well, to back the day up, we tried something different than geometry. We didn't like it, and in turn, my dad and brother and team and everybody were changing upper control arms and spindles before qualifying, and we weren't even able to set toe. We had to go sneak in the line and take our spot, and I was like, this is going to be really bad. We qualified 8th, and for the first time, I think one of the first times in my career, I actually started on the front row, and track position is everything. But yeah, we had a fast car, but it was, yeah, Luke Fenhouse is definitely a hard one to hold off. And I mean, I've seen him race a lot of tour stuff and a lot of race with him in the Hyper 5 stuff, but I was definitely surprised in myself also that day. I didn't think that we were going to the track being one of the top 5 contenders to win. But the Carl Wagner Memorial race definitely gave me a little extra something. Carl's back in 2013, he helped me out a lot when we were struggling with trying to go racing with some motors that weren't running very well, and they weren't Wagner motors, and he kind of took me under a guiding wing and helped me out a lot, and I owe him a lot of my racing career due to it. So I really wanted to win that one really bad, and it was a little something extra to pull it off.
And what does that do for you going into the off season? I mean, I know you still did a little racing after we were done. There were still some more events to do, but taking 2 really, really big wins and maybe 2 of the biggest of your career, you know, you could step up and tell me if there have been some other big ones there. But I mean, that's like the perfect way to end a year, isn't it? Just to take 2 huge wins, get yourself a ton of momentum. What does that do for you going into the months of October, November, when it comes time to do build season?
Yeah, no, it helped a lot. I mean, the team morale is definitely awesome, you know, throughout the winter when you can end a season like that. And I don't expect to be, you know, anything, you know, like top 5, you know, selected drivers to try to win a race, but I think that it just gives us a good feeling not having to completely disassemble the car and change everything about it. So I think this year we're probably more prepared than we've ever been in my almost 10 years of racing. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's for the first time we're going to go to a practice day and we don't have a whole lot to decide what we want to test and try and tune. And normally go to a practice day and we throw everything at it and see what sticks and what doesn't. But I just think it was nice to not have to spend a ton of money going into the off season. And I think we're happy we're going into the beginning of the season with some momentum. So
So let's talk a little bit about your history in racing. And we've touched on a few things, but I love your story. I love where your team is. And when I go to other places and I talk to people about racing, I talk about, what Jordan DeVoy's team is and where he came from, because I remember you as some kid on James Swann's pit crew who all of a sudden started to pick up a race car, ran Ryan Farrell's car. And then suddenly now here you are with 2 Tundra Super Late Model Series wins under your belt. You and your teammate, who we'll touch on a little bit, probably could be a threat to win the championship as a team this year. What a story. I mean, just, did you ever expect to get where you were going, when you began racing? I mean, just take us through it and the expectations that you had when you began.
That is, yeah. So to take it all back, so my dad used to help Randy Rogers and Denny Hiffman back at Lake Geneva. Actually, before that, my dad raced at Rockford Speedway around early 1990s. My mom also raced at Rockford Speedway in the early 1990s in the Winged Women on Wheels. Once my brother and I were both born, he decided to stop racing to grow a family, but wasn't ready to get out of racing. So he got hooked up with Randy Rogers and Denny Hiffman at Lake Geneva and spent Wednesday nights in the shop where my brother and I got to go pop rivets, fill tires, and clean cars. And it was the time of my life. Bleed brakes. It was awesome. And once, unfortunately, Lake Geneva closed in 2006, we kind of just lost touch with racing altogether. And we would still go to races. We just weren't involved like I guess we would want to be. But in 2008, 2009, my brother Cody posted on Racing Online that he was a 15-year-old kid who wanted to help out on some he wanted to help out on some people's race cars. And I'm like, you're crazy. Nobody's just out of the blue going to say, yeah, come help us, And James Swann, 5-time Mid-Am champion, responded to him and said, I'm racing a late model at Madison Speedway on Friday. Come on out. And I was like, well, I'm 16. I just got my driver's license. I should probably drive you. I don't know how you're going to get there. So we went there Friday night and met James Swann personally, probably for the first time. And he very graciously has given us an opportunity to help him throughout his, I guess the last, about 12 years. And so I got to go to late model racing with him, Mid-Am racing with him. And through him, I met some awesome people. I met Danny Church. I was a full-time employee by Dan Church for probably 4 years, working on dirt modifieds, asphalt limited late models, super late models. And through that, I met Ryan Farrell, who Ryan, looking back on it, it wasn't a good idea, but he let me drive his Thunder stock at Slinger when Danny Church gave him the opportunity to race a Mid-Am car for him. So in 2011 is probably when I got my first laps, and we started on the pole, and I don't know, started outside front row, and I almost won the race, and I lost a spot or two with like 2 laps to go and got spun out. Was looking down the front stretch with everybody barreling at me, and Ryan and I both freaked out from opposite sides of the fence. So yes, it was awesome. 2013, I bought my first race car as a rolling chassis, and didn't have enough money to put a motor in it. I made payments till the car was paid off for about a year, and slowly made payments on a motor that I dropped off at a motor builder, and it didn't turn out great. So I went to race Jefferson a couple times in 2013. Actually, I went to my first race at the Dells Raceway Park. I was going to run for Rookie of the Year, and night one, running 10th, just minding my own business. And everybody wrecked on the front stretch, and I got pushed into the wreck, and we destroyed every body panel on the car. So we put it all back together, and after about week 4, we decided to not race weekly and to run around doing some different stuff. We went to Jefferson, and we were having a hard time just finishing any race. So that's where Carl Wagner came in to help me a lot. And we got a LS motor, ran 2015 for Rookie of the Year at Slinger Speedway. We won Rookie of the Year. And 2016, we were leading the championship and lost it with like 2 races to go. Partially, probably 2 guys trying to both win their first championship, a veteran and a semi-rookie, and we probably tried a little too hard and maybe got together a few too many times and lost the championship. So it happens. And 2016 is also the first year that I was going to go run Jefferson again for the September showdown, or sorry, I don't know, not sure, Wisconsin State Championships. Went Thursday and tested, and I'm like, yeah, that was cool. I'm like, just be really cool if we could do this with a lot more grip. And James Swann's like, put 10-inch tires on. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to put 10-inch tires on. So, well, we'll help you. We'll pay the entry fee for Tundra if you want to race it. I said, oh, all right, I'll jump into it. And we put a set of Penske's on and put some 10-inch tires on and went to Jefferson, and we were running top 5 and might have accidentally got together with Ryan Farrell, and both of us lost. And then we started running full time with Tundra, and we were actually changing the car over to be a limited late model a lot in 2017, 2018 and on. I think we stayed mostly a super late model. I did have a limited late model for a little while, and we ran the Dells. Yeah, we won the one race of the September showdown. And yeah, fast forward to now, we've got our Pathfinder chassis and we're still super light racing. How's that for an update?
That's everything right there, right? I want to talk a little more about your first Tundra race, because I remember that one pretty clearly. When I found out you guys were interested, I started recruiting heavily because I wanted to see you guys do it. And I think another thing we wanted to really prove was that with a few changes, with a few updates, that these late model style cars, especially on the smaller tracks, can hang with super late models. They've come along that way. I remember talking to your brother. He was talking about, we changed shocks, we did this, and this. And, he had the experience. So what was it like for you guys on that day? How nervous were you? Were you afraid you'd totally been out of the ballpark? Did you think you were going to be able to do as well as you did? Because, you were on your way to a top 5 and just a few laps away from it. You guys really made a pretty big statement that day.
Yeah, like you said, no, it was definitely an experience. So I think the thing that gave me some confidence to do that is obviously a really good group and team around me. My dad was very familiar with super late model racing. I also have a buddy in North Carolina, Matt Noyce, who told me, put this bump stop in the left front, put this bump stop in the right front, put this sway bar in it, and run some rear springs. And he's helped me a lot over the years. But that race in particular, he threw some stuff together that I said, he said, I think this is gonna work. And I was like, oh, all right. He didn't really know what the geometry was or anything. So it was a full-fledged limited light model, like you said, putting shocks and bump stops on it, and away we went. So we showed up that day to figure out what it was all about. And I don't think we had any goals going into the race. We were going to have fun and do the experience. And I'm glad that it ended, with success, I guess. We were up front running in a very highly competitive race, I thought.
You talk about your dad a little bit, and what an interesting history for him, right? Giving up the racing to go start a family, and then we all know what it's like. We can't ever get away from racing. None of us ever will. We try. It's just in the blood. It's in the DNA. So for him now to have seen everything that you've come through and to be a part of your team and to be someone who works on your race car, what's it like for you? And what's it like for him? And what's it like for you to know that, he's got all this experience and Did you ever think, maybe someday my dad's going to be turning wrenches on my super late model?
I without a doubt would not be doing this without him and without my brother. And it's definitely a family effort that keeps me going. And I'll show you. My entire team is, well, not entire team, but I have a lot of team and family in the garage. We have a lot of support that keeps us going. So I think to really answer your question, yes, I definitely always thought that the family aspect of what we do it's very prominent to me. I always wanted to have a race car and to go racing. I didn't know to what extent or how it would happen, but my brother actually bought a race car before I did, and he was slowly building it when I got the opportunity to buy one. And so I'm going to buy it. And we ended up with 2 race cars in the garage. So, but I think, yeah, I mean, I hope as a dad, I'm sure he's proud that, what we've been able to do as a family and to win the races and to be able to go celebrate. And we go to Leo's and we went to one up in Golden Sands. I don't remember the bar, but it's fun to go around and celebrate with everybody and yeah, especially when you can do it with your family. It's pretty awesome to me.
Beyond family, for you and I've noticed this because like I said, I lived in Lake Geneva for a little bit, but I knew this already. There's that group. There's, the Swanns, the churches, you guys, you can throw a few other people in there, but it's kind of like its own little racing family too, right? So can you take me through, working with James, working with Danny Church? It wasn't just super late models and late models. It was mid-American cars. It was dirt modifieds, like you said. What did that do for you? First off, as someone who works on your own race car, and then secondly, once you got behind the wheel and had to start doing the driving part of it as well.
Yeah, the working on cars, it definitely has to bring another level. I mean, I don't, without learning everything that I did from them, I think it would have been very tough to probably jump out and buy my own car and just to say we're going to do this. There's a lot of tribal knowledge that's been passed, and I appreciate everything that those guys and Ryan included have given me. And being teammates with James is a huge honor for me. I never thought I'd be racing with him as a team, I suppose. I remember the first race I ever got to run with him in actually in mid-am cars, but same thing with Dan. I got to race with Dan a few times. I don't know if we've ever all 4 got to race together, but definitely when I started racing, or I should say when I started driving, I leaned on those guys a lot. I want to be a very courteous and respectful driver. You definitely want to be aggressive, but mind your P's and Q's all at the same time. It's hard to run up front if you can't play with the big dogs, but I want to be looked at as a guy with respect. And I think that's something that James and Ryan and Dan have all passed along is, there's no reason to go out there and wad your stuff up for nothing and make people mad. Like I said, I want to have a beer with everybody when the races are done. I hate when people have to come up and yell at me for something that I did.
I got to say, I don't think I've seen that happen much. So I think you're doing well on that account. So let's talk about James Swann and you as a team. This year, obviously, you got 2 wins in the 3 tries, and then some bad luck at Marshfield. You guys weren't able to make that race. James did really well, holding up his end of the bargain too. You guys ended up finishing 8th in points as a team. Obviously, with not even a DNF, but a DNS, you guys weren't even able to start. So, had you been able to race at Marshfield, make up some points there, it definitely could have been a championship contending season. Do you think you guys have that same jump in you this year, or do you think you're even going to be better, now with the confidence that you have with your part of the bargain?
I don't know about I definitely think we're going to be there. I think that I think, James is a very talented racer, and I think that his experience level takes him very far. I don't know that on my end I can keep up with 2 victories or do them back to back. So I think what did Casey or Riley won last year with 1 win and top 5s, and then Casey's won the championship with top 5. So I think we are both capable of trying to put it in the top 5 and every week. And obviously there's only 6 races, so you definitely you can't have a DNS. It doesn't help any part of the season.
So now, which 3 are yours and which 3 are James?
So
has that been decided yet? Better question, maybe.
We've had discussion. We ran Kakana, I'm going to run Kakana this year. I'm going to run the Dells, and I'm going to run Golden Sands. James is going to, oh boy, might have helped. He's going to do Norway, Marshfield, and Wausau. Does that cover them?
Yep.
All right.
So that takes away one of the questions I've been asking everybody is Norway, right? As a new one. I know you guys in particular really wanted to go back to Jefferson because you feel like you've had the race car there, and you proved it a couple of years ago by, breaking the track record and then almost winning that race. But I mean, Kakana, that's going to be a new one for you. It's been a little while since you've raced there. So, what do you think about the opener? We're just a little over a month away from it.
I'm excited for it. I mean, there's a lot of fast tracks, but Kakana is extremely fast and very, very rough. It is extremely unique. I'm excited to get our Pathfinder chassis there and see what we can do. The Norway race was a bit of a haul for us. We were sad to see that Jefferson got taken off the schedule and replaced, but we'll persevere through it. And
yeah, what's really tough for you guys, and it's not really even just a Tundra thing, but with Lake Geneva being gone, there's not a racetrack where you can race a super late model within an hour, right? I mean, Slinger's probably the next closest. You can have your race at Jefferson when the super lates end up there, but then everywhere else, Kakana's 2.5 hours away. Any of the central Wisconsin tracks are 3.5, depending on how you get there. Lacrosse is a haul. Norway's obviously a longer haul. What keeps you in it? And how psyched are you that we got such great gas prices this year?
We bought race fuel in bulk, so that one hurt a little bit. So we're in a tough spot in Lake Geneva, but we're also in a good spot. So we're not next door to any racetracks, but we can do Madison in an hour and a half. We can hit Rockford in an hour. We can hit Jefferson in 45 minutes, really close. Norway is a travel. Golden Sands is, like I said, one of my favorite tracks, but it's a ways up there. I've not raced Elko. That's a ways away. Lacrosse was a ways away when Tundra ran there. Otherwise, Oktoberfest is fun out there. You only get to drive out there once for 4 days. We have the driving is only a pain when after the races, and we all want to stick around and have a good time.
That's when you get the hotel room, right?
Yeah.
But I know even that part of it isn't too cheap. I talk about what's happening with Tundra, and we try to keep this as Tundra specific as possible, but it would be a disservice to not talk about the reason that your race car is already done here on March 31st, which is going to be the icebreaker coming up. The icebreaker has been a good way for guys to set the tone for you. I mean, you look at Luke Fenhouse last year; he won the thing and then went off to win the Quickie Driver Development Program and just show how strong he is. Tying this back into how you might race Tundra and just racing in general for you this year, how important is it going to be for you to get off to a good start when you race that icebreaker in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, you definitely want to end the season on a high note, and you definitely want to start the season on a high note. There's only so much racing budget to go through the year, so we are definitely looking forward to trying to start the year off strong. We want to make it through the icebreaker on the 10th, and then I think we might roll into the thaw at the end of April, and then we're pretty, like I said, we're pretty psyched for the May 15th, 14th, May 14th in Kaukauna. And I don't know, there's probably a bit of a gap for us in June, but yeah, we're gonna concentrate on Alive for 5 and Tundra, and I think that we'll hit a few extra races, but we need to keep body panels on the car and try to make it a successful season that way. I think, yeah, if you get off to a bad start and you're wrecking stuff, it's going to take a big toll this year, especially with fuel and tires. So just win and it's easy, right?
Exactly, right. Let me ask you about that, because I've had those questions from a lot of people this year. Now, what effect does every crazy thing that's happening in this world have on short track racing? And I mean, my opinion is that racing is going to still be very strong, at least at the start of the year. What you may see is maybe toward the end of the year, guys may run out of budget a little bit quicker because of the cost of everything, or because of tire availability or whatnot. I mean, how do you as a team look at all of this crazy stuff happening in the world? And because you guys obviously are a team that family owned, racing off the sponsorship, racing off of your own budget. How do you adjust when you start seeing all of this stuff happen in the off season? Does it affect your plans? Has it affected your plans, or are you just going to keep going forward and do what you can do and get to the racetrack as many times as possible?
Yeah, I am very thankful that there are, I guess, affordable ways to go racing, especially like the Tundra Series. I mean, it's awesome to be able to, buy into the racing, and then every race you're getting a paycheck one way or another, and it's very affordable. You lose very little money with what it is, and you have the opportunity to win good money. And I think that that's helping us go racing this year. Also, we do have a lot of awesome sponsors that are still with us and helping out, and sponsors mean everything. I mean, it's what puts fuel in the fuel cell and puts tires on the car. So I think that we're always open to more, and anybody that wants to advertise. But I think that, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting year. I think if we keep things in line, keep body panels on the car, I think we'll be all right. But without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do it. So I appreciate them.
All right, give me a prediction: A for Kaukauna for you guys, and then B for the team of James Swann and Jordan DeVoy. Tundra titleists, contenders. What are you feeling?
I will say that I hope we are in the conversation about it all year. I'm not going to put any expectations on the season, because it's not quite how I run my racing, but I hope we're there, and I hope that nothing takes us out of it, and I hope that we can go down to the wire with Casey Riley and Justin Mondyke and everybody else. So Kaukauna, my best finish at Kaukauna is 8th, and I think I finished 11th. I've also broken a drive shaft at Kaukauna and had to, thanks to Dennis Chase for running to a shop and bringing me back a drive shaft. It's a fun track. I race with hesitation, but I hope we got something for him. We'll know, I think, in about first practice whether we're going to be close or not.
All right. Well, it's going to be fun to watch you out there, because it's been a little while. So we'll see how you adjust to the old girl. She's still as bumpy as ever, but puts on a good show. So
top 5.
Hey,
top 5s.
top fives all the way. All right, well, folks, you can catch Jordan DeVoy in Great Lakes testing round 1, Wisconsin International Raceway. That is coming up on Saturday, May 14th. You can catch him at the Icebreaker on April the 10th as well at Dells Raceway Park. And Jordan, best of luck to you there. I'll see you there, and then we'll see you on May 14th.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this and appreciate the time and appreciate everything you do for short track racing and Tundra Series. And yeah, let's have a fun year.
I was just going to say the same thing. And the best part is we end at the Dells. We can all go to Leo's either way. Great Lakes testing, round 1, Wisconsin International Raceway, May 14th. Keep following along with the Tundra Super Late Model Series. We got a lot of other stuff going on. You take a look around the shop at Jordan DeVoy and the team. They're ready to go. We're ready to go. We can't wait to see you there. Thanks for joining us.